Welcome, everybody. What are we talking about today? Creativity. Creativity. Be creative. Be entrepreneurial. Creativity. Creativity seems to be one of the most important concepts in the 21st century. You have schools talking about creativity. Well, creativity is a very important value to promote in schools. You have government officials talking about harping on the value of creative industries, how to boost tourism, etc., etc. You have business people talking about the importance of creativity, how it generates revenue, etc., etc., etc. So what actually is creativity? What actually is creativity? Spend a few seconds thinking about what creativity actually entails. Well, I can read through your minds. You're going to say, well, creativity, out of the boxness, novelty, being different, think differently, it's a slogan, it's a culture, it's a mindset, etc., etc., etc. What's the key point here? The key point is, well, we all know all these. We know all these. We know creativity is about all these. Okay, so definitions of creativity don't matter. Leave it to the PR people. It's just fluff. The doing is much more important. So, first thing about creativity. Definitions don't matter. It's all academic, pedantic, really. Second point, creativity. Now, if I asked you to think about names of creative geniuses, whom can you think of? Well, you're likely to think of maybe Beethoven, Van Gogh, Steve Jobs, J.K. Rowling, Michelangelo, etc., etc., etc. All these are people who have really done something different to make the world a different place. But there are also creators who are naughty people, who have changed the landscape of creativity fundamentally. And one of them actually has a lot to do with this university, and he was the vice-chancellor of this university, Professor Charles CUHK. Professor Charles CUHK, as you probably know, is a Nobel physics laureate who invented fiber optics. Fiber optics, of course, facilitated information exchange, made the world a much smaller place, turned the world into a global village or what have you. 2 clicks on the internet, and I'll be able to see perhaps what's happening in a small fishing village in maybe Patagonia in southern Argentina. And so what's happening here is that in Beethoven's time, for example, in Van Gogh's time, there's a lack of information. What turned them into creative geniuses is the fact that they were able to see things differently given the paucity of information there. Whereas right now, well, 2 clicks on Google, whatever, you have, volumes, of information available to you for scientific studies, for artistic studies, etc., etc. So basically, the landscape for creativity has changed completely and fundamentally. So there's no point of emulating Beethoven. There's no point of emulating Van Gogh. There's no point of emulating Einstein. Because even if you're as good as them, you're never going to be as much of a genius as they are, for a very, very simple reason. Well, they had monopoly at that time. People didn't know a lot about, that kind of creativity, whereas right now information just flies everywhere. So the paradigm has shifted fundamentally in terms of creativity. Now, it's actually quite ironic that I started by saying, well, creativity, definitions, etc., they don't matter. And I've just spent, 5 minutes talking about definitions of creativity and paradigm changes in creativity. So let's get to the meat of stuff. How do we do it? How do we do creativity? Well, in this part of the world, Hong Kong, China, Asia, you see this scenario, this rather unfortunate scenario, I think, all too often. And what is it? It is, well, father, son, mother, daughter, maybe father, daughter, mother, son. Well, it's very important for you to follow your heart, pursue your dreams, but also be very practical. Make sure that you get fed. Make sure your stomach is taken care of. Make sure food's on the table. Okay, so it's all very good. You want to be a writer, you want to be a theater director, you want to be an artist. Good, all good. But just make sure that you be able to earn enough money to lead a living. Well, there's parent stuff, but also there's also sometimes self-censorship. Sometimes you want to do something, you want to create something, you want to pursue your dream. And what you say to yourself is, well, I really do like what? Dreaming. I really do like writing. I really do like, art. I really do like painting, etc., etc. But I'm just not sure if I've got enough talent. Can I cut it? Can I really cut it? I'm not so sure. So, let me think about it. I'll probably pursue it as a hobby. Once I reach 65, once I retire, I'll probably do it, full-fledged. What's the problem here? The problem here really isn't whether you're good enough in something, in the domain you're interested in. The issue here is whether you're good enough to turn what you have, given your own limitations, your understanding of yourself, your talent, your interest, into another art form. We know very well from history that a lot of artists, a lot of great artists, don't necessarily boast, if you like, the finest level of technique. But what they were very, very good at was to mold, if you like, taking into account their talent, their interest, create art forms, create new art forms. Now, that's being creative. So that's the key point. Now, how to do it? We're at a university now. Well, one of the most popular TED Talks ever, I think, is by a renowned English educator, Sir Ken Robinson. And what he said was, essentially, schools kill creativity. Well, the answer is very, very simple. The reason is very, very simple. Why do schools kill creativity? Well, because schools are institutions. Institutions institutionalize people. We are all institutionalized here. That's why schools kill creativity. That's what makes Mark Twain such a cool guy. I never allow my schooling interfere with my education. Well, so how do we do creativity? Well, I'm not asking you to skip classes for skipping classes' sake. But do skip classes if they're not useful to you. Right? That's very important. If lecturers insist on taking attendance, etc., 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 blindly, they're probably not worth your listening to anyway. So break some rules for a reason, right? Skip some classes for a reason. Don't do it. Don't do them for their own sake. That would be stupidity, not naughtiness, not creativity. But pursue what you're interested in. Be creative, be entrepreneurial, and that's all I'm going to talk about today. Well, in contrast to what a lot of PR people would have you, creativity is for everybody. No, creativity is not for everybody. Not everybody can do creativity. Creativity is for a select group of people. People who are creative, people who are entrepreneurial, people who actually want to do it. So don't do it if you don't have the guts, but do it if you do want to. And that's all I'm talking about today. Thank you.